the line is, I forget specifically what it would say, like the line is not in use or is busy, or it's just a generic recording. I don't remember specifically what it says, but I know it to mean, in my opinion, that the number was blocked.
Okay.
So one day I got through.
What day? What day was that?
It would have been mid September, I guess. Maybe late September, something of that sort.
2020?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And just to clarify, earlier I misspoke. I said that I was hired spacecraft in 2021 of March. It was actually 2020 of March of 2020. So I got through in September of 2020 and got her voicemail, and it said, "Thank you for calling Crick's Tattoo. We're unable to answer the phone. Please leave a message and we'll call you back," or something of that effect. So now I had, for the very first time, some type of information on where she was working. I didn't know that to be related to that guy Trey or anything like that, but now I knew where she was working and where she could potentially be contacted. So that was the first time I had any information on where she might be.
Okay, and what month and year was this?
September of 2020.
Okay, did you end up making contact with Jessica at some point after that?
Not via the telephone. At that point, no. I called again, a day or two later, and it was back to that generic message, assuming that he maybe switched phones and it wasn't blocked for a period of time, and that's how I got through, and then she realized and she reblocked me. That was my assumption. So I couldn't contact her again. Then I researched Crick's Tattoo, and I saw that Mr. Trey Henson was it's very prominent online. You can see that he's the owner-operator of that tattoo shop. So then I made the connection, 2 and 2, that, okay, she was with the guy that was calling the night that she left the hotel and working, presumably working with him.
And then what did you do? Try to make contact.
I didn't want any type of altercation, so I felt the best thing to do was to find out where Madison was living and then proceed from there. Once I knew where Madison was residing and I had actually had that information, I could sleep better at night. I wanted to figure that out first and foremost, before anything else. So I asked a friend to go to the tattoo shop and see if they were driving a car, and if he could put I bought him a GPS locator, and he went to the tattoo shop, saw that they were driving a white Honda with the back all smashed in like it had been in an accident, and Madison was riding in the rear seat. So, immediately I was concerned again, because here's Madison riding in a vehicle that's got the whole back end smashed, and if it gets hit again, the car's going to be, directly in it's going to run Madison over, because she's got no protection even from a trunk. So my friend did put the tracker on that Honda, and I found out really quickly that they were living at an address on Slivella. I have the address in my files, but I don't know it offhand. But so I found out really quickly that that's where the house was, because I could see that they were going between there and the tattoo shop on a regular basis. I could also see that the car was moving around at 4 a.m., 3 a.m., the middle of the night. The car was moving to locations that I didn't know, and I was very concerned about the fact that, now it seemed indicative of someone who was, again, using methamphetamine. So I had my friend remove the tracker within a matter of 2 weeks. It wasn't on there any longer than that. Jessica has made allegations to me and to the court about stalking, and there was nothing of that sort. As soon as I located the residence, I had the tracker removed.
Okay, well, it looks like Jessica opened this case in October of 2020. So, tell me how that proceeded.
So yeah, once I had located the residence and had confirmed that Trey was the tattoo shop owner, I contacted the tattoo shop, and I I believe I contacted the tattoo shop. I can't remember if I got his phone number, his cell number offline or what. But so sometime in either the beginning of October or the end of September, once the tracker had been removed, then I contacted Mr. Henson and asked him, if I could see my daughter and how she was doing. And
okay, so you talked to him. Did you get to see your daughter?
No, I didn't. So they led me to believe that they were considering some type of compromise. I was very honest with them. I said, hey, look, you've got Madison in this vehicle with no trunk. She's being driven around. When the tracker was on the car, I saw that you guys were moving around in the middle of the night. I'm really hoping that you're not using methamphetamine, but it sure seems like that. And I'm sure that's going to come out, if this goes to court or anything like that. And, if that's not the case, tell me now, and let's try to make a compromise. And
okay, so did they agree to make a compromise?
They led me to believe that they were going to make a compromise with me.
Did they make the compromise?
No. Instead, I called Trey. Trey was supposed to come by my house.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just got to move on. It's already 3:30.
Okay, so Trey was supposed to come by my house and discuss the terms of making some type of agreement. I called him that morning that he was supposed to come over, or I texted him and he said something to the effect that Jessica has decided she wants to do it through the courts, and I have some paperwork for you. When will you be home? I'm going to bring it by.
Okay, and when did you end up getting served?
I went to the tattoo shop that day to pick up the paperwork myself.
Okay. Do you remember Jessica's exhibit she offered reporting to show you threatening Ray or her or someone?
Yeah, I've seen what she filed, and that was absolutely 1,000,000% not sent from me, not sent from my phone. It in my mind is something that they were premeditating in order to, they were gearing up for this custody battle.
Wait, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about Exhibit 8. But if the clerk could confirm, I believe it has been admitted, but I'm not sure. No, not Exhibit 8, I'm sorry. It was Exhibit... I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. It was 2... Oh, Exhibit 2.
Exhibit 2 is admitted.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So do you remember seeing the messages that I'm referring to, Brooks?
Yeah, I've seen the message in the filings from Richard, and I've also...
Have it in front of you?
I do not, no.
Hey, Mr. Johnson, just listen to her question. She just asked you, this is a perfect example. She asked you a yes or no question, and then you went on to expand on it. If she needs you to expand on it, she'll ask you to. She's very competent, okay? Just answer her questions, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, we're on Exhibit 2.
Yes. So I was just... Oh, give me 1 moment. I was just going to screen share it because he said he didn't have it right in front of him. 1 moment here. See my screen?
Yes, I do.
All right. So does this look like text messages to you? What do you?
What is it?
It looks like a printout of. I mean, it almost looks typed. I don't know, but it's what they. I know it to be what she said were text messages. What Jessica alleged were text messages from me.
Have you ever gotten, or have you ever sent any messages to Trey that are what is listed here on this exhibit?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so know if anyone else has on your behalf.
No one else has sent text messages on my behalf.
Okay, and this looks like it's called Brooks 2 Threat Line. Do you have more than one phone number?
No, I have one phone with one number.
So is this what you were referring to when it said that it looked like somebody made up this message that they're trying to say came from you?
Yeah, and I assume that because he also filed, or Mr. Schoenfeld filed, a bunch of text messages that were from me that clearly look to be text messages. They show my number in the text message, and then this one, for some reason, they blocked out the number.
Okay, and the when you say they look like text messages, mean they look like a screenshot from a phone?
That's correct.
Okay, and is compared to this, which looks like typed out on a piece of paper?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So you got served, and you ended up going to court in April. Why did it take? Well, you see Madison Beach. When's the first time you saw Madison?
First time I saw Madison was when Your Honor initiated the week-on, week-off schedule, which would have been April of 2021.
Okay, so how was your reunion with Madison? How did she handle going to having joint contact with you?
It was great. She was super excited to see me. It was her birthday had just passed, so my mom flew out from Michigan. My mom is very involved in Madison's life. She flies out here when I have custody of Madison to spend time with her. She talks to her video conference or video calls on a regular basis. So as soon as she found out that we were going into a week-on, week-off schedule, she flew out and we organized a birthday party for Madison with myself, my mom, my girlfriend Cody Courtner, her nieces and nephews, and so we had at John's Incredible on Maryland Parkway, we had a birthday party for her first week's visit. So I picked her up. She was just herself from the beginning. She was extremely excited to see me and see her grandma, and so it was a great feeling to have her back.
Okay, were you living in a car at all?
No.
Well, and let me back up a little. You said you were living in a sober house.
Mm-hmm.
When did you leave the sober house? What month and year?
So I left sober living. Let me think here.
Is it before Madison?
It would be, I left sober, I didn't have Madison while I lived in the sober living, so it had to be before April. I want to say it was January of 2021 was when I moved out of the sober living. Maybe February of 2020.
Okay, and when you left the sober living house, where did you move?
I moved to 605 Royal Crest.
Which is what?
And
House, apartment, what is it?
It was a 2-bedroom apartment. So Madison had her own room, and myself and my girlfriend, Cody Courtner, lived there as well.
Okay. Just to cut to the chase, did you live in your car at any time in 2021?
No, absolutely not.
Any time that you had Madison, were you living in your car?
No, absolutely not.
And were you living in your car in 2020?
Was I living in my car? No, absolutely not.
Okay, is there any time that you were living in your car since you got to Las Vegas? I mean, that would justify the allegations made in the CPS report?
No.
Okay, and when CPS investigated, did they determine that you weren't living in?
No, they determined that I was not living in my car.
Okay, did they look into it?
I showed them my lease. I explained to them. So when we were living in 605 Royal Crest, at the beginning of August, it would have been like August 7th, we had a flood. My upstairs neighbor, his water heater broke and completely flooded our entire living room, kitchen, all the cabinets. So on August 10th of 2021, I filed a notice of address change with the court because we were going to have to move out of there while they did the renovations, and then we were intending at that time to move back in. So on August 10th of 2021, I filed an address change, and we moved to, I forget the specific address, but it's, my boss owns a cabin in Mount Charleston. He said we could stay there while the apartment was being renovated. We only assumed it was going to take a few weeks. I'm sorry?
How long were you there?
So we were there
Just give me a general estimate. A week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months?
about 4 weeks, because on
Okay.
September
That's all I
10th.
need to know. Just
Okay.
4 weeks. So then you came back to your apartment after that?
No, that's what I was
Okay.
getting to right now.
Okay,
So,
go ahead.
They didn't renovate the apartment in a timely manner. They didn't even, by the beginning of September, they hadn't even started construction. So we started to look for a new residence because we assumed that we weren't going to be able to get back into there, and we only had a month-to-month lease. So on September 10th of 2021, I secured another apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment at 3260 Fountain Falls Way, and I submitted that address change to the court as well.
Okay, and that's where you live now. Is that correct?
That's where I lived
that's
up
where you were
until,
living.
that's where I lived up until I was shot.
Okay. All right, so when you got Madison week on, week off, what was your work schedule?
Monday through Friday, 6:30 to 2:30.
Okay, has that still been your work schedule this whole time when you've been working? At the time where you were
Primarily, yes. I have the ability to go in at 7:30 and leave at 3:30 if I want, but usually it's that schedule.
Okay. Have you? Do you have my exhibit books? Can you turn to Exhibit D?
Just give me 1 second. I was in
I would
his
have-
exhibits because we were pulling those text messages.
What did you say your work schedule is, sir?
6:30 to 2:30 Monday through Friday.
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay.
That's still at
I'm
Space
in-
Craft. You started in March of 2020. Do you still work there?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'm in your exhibits now. Where would you like me to refer to?
D is in Delta.
Okay. The KinderCare receipts.
Yeah. So what are these receipts? Tell me about this.
So immediately when I got the week on, week off schedule set up with Jessica, I enrolled Madison at KinderCare Learning Centers on Simmons in North Las Vegas, and she's been attending the same school or daycare, whichever you prefer, since April of 2021. And these are receipts that reflect her enrollment.
Okay. Did you well, she didn't go when she wasn't in your custody, correct? So she didn't go between.
That's correct. I offered Jessica the option. I told Jessica I would pay for her to go so that Jessica wouldn't have to take her to the tattoo shop. She declined.
Okay. Has the KinderCare ever had a report of, made a report that you know of, anything covering abuse or neglect towards Madison by you?
Absolutely not. No. And they've been made aware of the allegations by Miss Church. She showed up there unannounced and told them that she believed that Madison was being sexually abused. And so I know that they take her to the bathroom every day when she needs to use the restroom. So they see her, using the restroom on a regular basis. And the answer to your original question is no.
Okay. And when did Jessica go to the KinderCare and tell them about the allegations?
She's gone there twice. I don't have the dates in front of me. I think the first one was prior to her making the allegations, so I don't believe she said anything then. The second visit that she made over there was following a visit at Donna's house when Madison had a bump on her head from school, and I provided the documentation regarding that incident to the Donna's house representatives so that they would provide it to Jessica. Even though they told me I didn't have to provide her a copy, I still did. And she showed up the following day or 2 days later and alleged that the document was false, and then she told them about, her delusions, basically.
Okay. Move to admit Exhibit D. Oh, I think it's admitted. I'm sorry. Is it admitted? I have it circled, so.
It's admitted.
Okay. What happened? Okay, so what happened in September? So in September, I know Jessica's testified a lot about the incident that led her to call the CPS and withhold medicine. What happened in terms of the investigation on you? What did you go through when the allegation was made?
Well,
starting with when you were supposed to pick up Madison from Jessica.
Yeah. So the week prior.
When was that? When was that?
That was September 26th.
Okay.
Of 2021.
So on September 12th, I picked Madison up for my scheduled week at Donna's house, and we were going to a dinner with some friends of ours and their children at their house. And when I picked her up in the parking lot, she said to me, one of the first things she said to me was, "Mommy said this is the last time I'm going to come here." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Oh, no, nothing. I forgot," basically. And in hindsight, now that I've seen everything that's ensued, I certainly should have, done more investigating, questioning as to what she was referring to. But she 100,000,000% made that comment to me on September 12th of 2021. And then on September 26th of 2021, which was my next scheduled visitation, I had been trying to contact Madison that whole week that she was with her mother. After I returned her to her mother's care on September 19th, and then I made numerous calls that week to Jessica and couldn't establish contact with Madison, which was not normal. Up until that point, we had been making sure that we were there to answer calls for the other party and provide contact for Madison. So I found that extremely odd. It's my belief that she was just preventing Madison from contacting me because she was trying to, brainwash Madison or whatever, for lack of better words, trying to formulate her lie. And so I didn't have any contact with Madison that week. I finally contacted Jessica about a half hour before the scheduled exchange. Jessica sent me a text and said, "I will be discontinuing exchanges indefinitely. I have filed a report with Metro Police and CPS," and it was very brief. She didn't give me any information as to what she reported or anything like that. I spent 2 to 3 days, I'm not sure exactly how long, trying to get her to give me the information of the people whom she contacted so I could contact them and follow up with whatever, she had alleged. It took her and Richard, I emailed him more than once to try to get information on what they were referring to. It took them, I believe, about 3 days to finally provide me an event number, and then I was able to establish contact with Metro and the Detective Highsmith, who was involved at that point, and CPS agent Gwen White. And then I contacted them. As soon as I received that event number, I contacted them that day.
And when did you find out the results of that investigation?
I found out the results of the investigation in the beginning of November, but I received a letter via certified mail signed by Miss White at my home at 3260 Fountain Falls Way on November 8th of 2021. She sent me the final letter stating that with a disposition of unsubstantiated was the final terminology that they used for that case.
Okay. At some point, did your and your girlfriend's tires get slashed?
Yes, on
Turn to Exhibit I.
11/19 of 2021, our vehicles were vandalized at our home.
What was the date?
11/19, November 9th.
Turn to Exhibit I as in indigo. Tell me what this exhibit shows if you have it. Share it anytime. Just
So this appears to be a copy of the report that I have here in my hand as well, which is the report that was filed the morning of finding our vehicles with slashed tires. Both my vehicle and her vehicle's tires were slashed.
okay, move to admit exhibit. I don't know if it's admitted yet.
I think it's already
It is.
admitted.
Yeah.
Exhibit I is admitted.
Okay, and then what does Exhibit J and K show?
So J shows photos of her slashed tires, and K shows photos of my truck slashed tire.
Her meaning Cody.
Yes, I'm sorry, Cody Corner.
Okay, have you seen Jessica submit pictures of or someone's tires get slashed? I don't know if I don't think it's her vehicle, but I think it may be.
So
Trey's
yes,
vehicle.
I've seen the pictures of slashed tires on what I know to be Trey's truck, her
Okay,
boyfriend Trey Henson's truck.
Okay, when okay, so I'm sorry. Off the top of my head, I don't know if they were slashed before or after yours were. But did you slash their tires?
Absolutely
Trey's tires.
not. No.
And you saw that video where it was conclusive. Like I said, it was conclusive evidence that you were in a parking lot with a rock. Was that you in that video?
Absolutely not.
Okay. What happened? Okay, so after you found out that the charges were not substantiated, did Jessica return Madison to the week on, week off?
Wait, I need to know, when was Trey's tires slashed?
I don't know that he knows that.
I don't know that, but I believe it's in Richard's filings.
All right, go ahead with your question, Ms. Cole.
I'm sorry, and I don't have that in front of me. I think I had it at some point, but it's not in my notes.
I'm
So.
I have it. I can, if you want to wait, I can pull it from his filings if you guys want
No,
the information.
okay, go ahead, Ms. Cole, with your question.
Okay. So Jessica did not return Madison to you. And I know we've seen this video of the tattoo shop. So tell me what happened the day that the incident with Trey at the tattoo shop.
So, as I said, I received the final conclusion letter for CPS on November 8th, and Jessica had not been allowing me any contact with Madison via Talking Parents. I believe that she had deleted the Talking Parents app because when I would try to contact her, it wouldn't go through. The app wouldn't even call her at that point in time. So on November 10th was when me and Cody went to the tattoo shop, and Cody established contact with Jessica 2 days after we had received the letter to verify, A, that Madison was okay. I think it's worth noting as well that a day prior to Cody going into the tattoo shop, I had called to perform a welfare check. The event number for that call was 116020 to Metro Police. I waited for 5 hours for them to come do a welfare check until I get off work at 2:30. I didn't get there until 5 p.m. I waited until between 10 and 11 p.m. for them to come do a welfare check, and they never showed up. So that I tried to do on the 9th. On the 10th, after not being able to get Metro to do a welfare check, Cody went to the tattoo shop to confirm Madison's well-being.
Where were you in relation to the tattoo shop?
So I was at least 300 yards away. There's a really big parking lot. Maybe, I'm not an expert. Maybe it's 200 yards, but there's a really big parking lot at their business, and there's a bank in the parking lot. There's actually a couple. There's a Wells Fargo and another one. I parked basically in the bank parking lot so as not to be in their general area and not to, be perceived as a threat.
Okay. What happened with making contact? Did you make contact with anyone that night?
So I didn't make contact with Madison or Jessica. I stayed in the parking lot the entire time. I knew that, based on I've seen Trey's arrest record, and he has a very violent history going back all the way in Nevada to 2006 with armed robberies and.
Wait, stop.
Lack of foundation and only admissible if there's been a conviction.
Ms. Cole?
I think he can just testify to what he knows, if he knows that. And I don't know, I didn't catch the dates that he said any of that happened.
The objection is lack of foundation, and it's only admissible if there were convictions.
What law?
I said arrest.
No, I was talking about Mr. Schoenfeld's objection. What's the authority for a felony only being admissible if there's been a conviction?
He's looking it up.
Admissible, but I'll get you the citation.
He's getting it right now.
Right, so let's just talk about what happened that night. Let's stick to that. He's looking that up for me.
Yeah. So I, based on, I saw Mr. Henson. I had gone and taken a photo of Mr. Henson's license plate because I was in fear for my safety and I wanted information in case he did come accost me. And in the process of doing that, I was a good 200 yards away from my vehicle while I was photographing his license plate. And when I was walking back to my vehicle, I could see Mr. Henson at the driver's side window with something in his hand banging on the window. And I couldn't tell at that point what it was as he was banging on the side of my truck, the driver's side window. I continued to approach the vehicle. I stayed, all this is on video, which has been provided to the district attorney in their criminal case. And I approached the vehicle and I asked, "Is there a problem?" And Mr. Henson turned to me. I then saw what he was holding was a firearm. He immediately raised it and pointed it at my head and said, "Yeah, there's a problem. You threatened my effing life." And I said, "When?" He said, "Right now." I said, "I never threatened your life." And he said, "Oh, you threatened my life." And then he walked towards me, closer towards me, put the gun basically from 4 feet away up to my chest and said, "Again, you threatened my life." And I again said, "When?" And then he said, "Weeks ago, months ago." And then from there, he continued, I asked him if I could see my daughter. I asked him if she was okay. I informed him that I hadn't spoken to her, which he already knew. And that resulted in me calling the police, basically.
Okay, and then you called the police. So turn to Exhibit E.
In your filings?
In our filings. Were you filming Mr. Hansen at the time that he pointed the gun at you?
Yes. Both Cody and I recorded the entire incident because we're extremely scared of Mr. Hansen. Because he's told me himself he's a gang member.
Okay, so turn to
Exhibit E is not admitted.
Okay, so we've already had testimony regarding the first 2 pages from Jessica. So tell me in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages what these documents show.
These are still photos that I pulled off of the video recording when Mr. Hansen assaulted me with the firearm.
Okay, and they came off of what device?
They came off my personal cell phone.
And this says Wednesday on the top. What date did this incident occur?
It occurred November 10th. I can look for the police report and verify that that was a Wednesday. Or we
You don't have to do that.
It occurred, it was approximately 7 p.m. on November 10th.
Okay. I'm going to move, and who is depicted in this photograph, or these photographs?
I know that to be Trey Henson.
Okay, and is that an accurate representation of what happened the day of the incident that you were about?
Yeah, it's an exact representation.
Okay, move to admit Exhibit E.
Mr. Schoenfeld?
Based on the foundation that's been laid, no objection.
Okay, no objection, so Exhibit E is admitted.
Okay, after the police arrived, what happened?
So, I called the police. We left the parking lot as soon as Mr. Henson went back into the business, and Cody came out. I was waiting for Cody to come out. When she came out, we got in my truck. We left the immediate area, contacted police. They responded. They reviewed the videos that each of us had taken during the interaction, and then it's my understanding that they served a search warrant on the tattoo shop and retrieved the firearm that Mr. Henson had in the photos.
Okay, is it your understanding that they arrested and charged Trey with assault with a deadly weapon? That incident?
That's correct.
Is it your
Yes.
understanding that Mr. Hansen received a substantiation of abuse and neglect through the Department of, as a result of that incident?
Yes.
Okay, so after that, did Jessica return Madison to you?
No. So,
Do you have any phone calls or video calls with Madison between September and December, the end of December, when we went to court together?
well, I didn't have any contact. I was sending requests via text messages through the Talking Parents app to make contact with Madison, and they were being ignored. There was no responses. That continued. I don't have anything in my records between with a response between.
Did you have a telephone call with Madison between September and the end of December?
Not that I
Obviously,
recall,
you talked
no.
to Madison.
No,
Do you remember
no.
having a video call with Madison where you were able to see her?
No, I did not.
Jessica send Madison videos of Madison or photographs to you?
No, she did not.
Did you talk to Madison on Christmas?
By that point in time, there had been
Oh, you went to court.
supervised visitation had been ordered, and I was supposed to. The judge had provided me a supervised visitation date on Christmas. It just so happened that Christmas Day fell on one of the Your Honor's scheduled dates, and Jessica didn't show up.
You didn't see her on Christmas. Then when we went to court on December 28th, we implemented the week on, week off.
That's correct.
Okay. After you had Madison back, first time after that order, and you did the exchange following getting her back, did you see her again after that for the regularly scheduled exchange?
So I received Madison back on, I believe it was December 28th. I could be wrong about the exact date. I got COVID, and so did Cody. Within 3 days of picking her up, we were diagnosed with COVID. And we knew we had it because there was people from work that had it, and so we took the home tests, and they showed that we had it. So I forwarded those tests to Miss Jan Parsons at Donna's house, and she said that I was not to return until I could provide a negative test. So I informed Jessica of the situation, and that meant that Madison stayed with us for 2 weeks, and then I returned Madison to Jessica's care once we had a negative COVID test after that period of time. So it would have been 2 Sundays later, Madison was returned to Jessica's care.
Right. After she was returned to Jessica's care, how long did Jessica have her for?
Well, as you know from the records, she immediately took her to the hospital, and
Wait, how
Madison
long
was
did
forced
you have her for? That was the question. How long did you have her for?
Get her back. Did you get her back?
How long? Well, I didn't get her back until January 21st, the day that Your Honor ordered the pickup call.
Okay, so you were supposed to get her back after Okay, so help me out with my timeline here. So you ended up keeping her until the first week of January. You're supposed to get her back, what, around January 11th?
Don't have that date in front of me.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was January 6th. But in any case, when you gave the child back, Jessica, after you had COVID, kept her for the week, and then did she back to the child exchange to give Madison back to you?
No, she didn't.
Okay. Contact you and tell you why.
No, she didn't. I believe I was contacted by DPS. I can't recall. She didn't tell me that she made another allegation of sexual abuse.
Can you give me some dates?
Yes, I have the dates.
You said that Dad... Wait, you said on December 28th, 2021, the court implemented the week-on, week-off schedule, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And 3 days
December
later, Dad and Cody were diagnosed with COVID, correct? Or they tested positive for COVID. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so that...
Okay.
So the date that we were tested positive for COVID was December 30th, 2 days after the pickup. And Madison was returned to Jessica's care on January 9th.
December...
And then the records, CPS records show that Jessica took Madison into the hospital on January 9th at 11:15 p.m.
January 9th, Mom got the child. That's when she took her to... Where did you say? UMC?
Yes.
Took her to UMC. Okay, so when did Dad get the child back after that?
So after that, so that would have meant that you were supposed to get her back on the 16th, because that would have been a week later. Get Madison back on the 16th.
I did not.
Okay.
Nor did I have any contact with her.
Did you have any phone calls during that week?
I did not.
When when did you find out why you didn't get her back? Did Jessica reach out to you, or how did you find out?
I believe it was CPS.
Okay. What did you have
Was it
cameras?
CPS or was it? I can't remember, honestly, truthfully, and we're testifying here. I can't remember if you informed me that Richard had contacted you and said that there was new allegations, or if CPS informed me. I can't remember.
Okay. Do you have cameras in your house at that time?
So I had installed cameras in my home prior to receiving Madison back December 28th because I was concerned about the potential of future allegations.
All right. What did CPS do an investigation based on these new allegations on January 9th that
Yes,
you're
they
aware
did.
of? Okay. Did you
Yes.
meet with CPS?
Yes, I did.
Did you cooperate and provide them any information?
Yeah, I provided them. They came to my home again. I showed them. I gave them access to the cameras right there in my residence and showed them some general clips of Madison in her daily routine at the house. I offered them the entire library of the footage, which I don't believe that they ever obtained. But it's my understanding I made 3 copies of that library of footage, and I was under the impression that we provided that entire library of footage leading up to that allegation to Mr. Schoenfeld and to the court, but and one for you as well for your records, but I don't know what came of that. So
The court doesn't get information until it gets admitted at trial, and I can't play.
So,
24
but
hours.
Mr. Schoenfeld did receive those videos, correct?
Correct. But I was just talking about CPS. Did you have a chance to talk to them about how the fact that you had cameras in your home?
Yeah.
And,
Yep, and I provided them access to them while they were there at my home.
And did you do any of the allegations that they told you were being lodged against you?
Absolutely not.
I mean, you were sitting here for 2 days of trial, and you heard Jessica's testimony about all the allegations, that she's made about you, about your behavior, about your pattern of what she considers a pattern of abuse. and escalating to the allegations that she's made against you regarding the sexual abuse. What is your response? Allegations of there being invasive domestic violence in your relationship with her.
With Jessica and I, it's false.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
Those allegations are false.
What about the allegations about Madison being abused by multiple people sexually when she's with you?
Absolutely false.
What's a typical day that you have, Madison? What is the routine that you typically have?
So we wake up at a quarter to 6, 5:45, and Madison eats breakfast. Well, I shower. When I get out, she brushes her teeth. Cody gets her dressed. Then we take her to daycare, and we start our workday at 6:30. And then, depending on if we work a little bit overtime or if we leave at exactly 2:30, then we would go to her school and pick her up, around 3:30, but depending on the day. Then we come home and we do dinner first, and then we do bath time, which Cody, ever since the first allegation was alleged, we've moved to, I can't even give my daughter a bath at this point because it's been turned into this disgusting thing. And so now Cody does bath time. It's been that way since September. And after bath time, we would do a phone call to mom. Now we do the video calls on the assigned days. And then Madison is in bed by 7:30, 7:45, and we do the whole thing the next day.
Okay. And that was from the date that you got the pickup order forward, basically. Well, even before that, but I mean, is that a good rendition?
Since I've had her in April of 2021, that's been our routine.
Okay.
On the weekends, on Saturday and Sunday. I'm sorry?
What happened the morning that you got shot? Tell the judge what happened, starting as quickly as you can.
Okay, wait, real quick. So on January 21st, Dad was supposed to get the child back from Mom.
No, it was January 16th.
I'm sorry, January 16th. That's right. When did Dad get the child back?
When we got the pickup order.
January 21st.
Okay, on January 21st, Dad did get the child back. Okay. And that was pursuant to the pickup order.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Now you can answer her question about the morning that you got shot.
And that pickup order was facilitated by the police. They helped you pick up Madison, correct? From
That's
the
correct.
shop?
The very same afternoon that it was issued, I called them and they executed the pickup order.
And
They also filed a child abuse report against Jessica for that pickup.
Right, because there was a bite mark on okay, but you're not the one that called the CPS on that. That was actually the police when they went in to get Madison.
Called CPS and filed the report.
Okay. So, and when you got the pickup order, Madison was at the tattoo shop at that moment?
That's correct.
Okay. So, tell me what date you got shot.
March 15th.
First of all, were you in fear of your safety based on behaviors exhibited by Jessica or Trey between the date when you got the pickup order and the date you got shot?
Absolutely. I've been in fear beyond that. Yeah.
Moving on from the assault arrest, we've already heard all about that. But what kind of things made you fearful of your safety after the arrest for the assault with a deadly weapon?
The tire slashing, the fact that Jessica and Trey were appearing in my neighborhood, in my gated community, behind the gate, so they had to wait for the gate to open and come in. Her testimony is that she was going to the drug treatment facility, but that's not what I saw at all. So, yeah, I felt that they were stalking me, that they were, acting in an aggressive manner regularly.
How were their interactions when you did the supervised exchanges with Madison?
So on December 28th, December 28th, when Your Honor ordered the exchange to be commenced at Donna's house, that day was the day we had a hearing. Donna's house was not open. And so I contacted Donna's house, and I believe we contacted the court or someone, and they said that we could make the exchange in the lobby of the family court facility. So I went over there to make the exchange. Jessica had also been ordered to enroll in the options program that day, and so it was actually Trey Henson who showed up to make the exchange in the court, family court lobby or front entrance with Madison, and his demeanor, the way that he was looking at me, and he mouthed something that I don't know what he said when he was in the lobby. But even at that time, when he showed up, I was caught off guard because I wasn't expecting him, and Jessica didn't tell me until a moment before he walked in that he was going to be the one making the exchange. So I was extremely fearful then, and when I actually received custody of Madison from him that evening, I was followed very far, going back towards my house, by someone who presumably was one of his associates. And when I finally stopped in a McDonald's parking lot where they waited for Madison and I to get our food and took pictures of their license plate, they finally stopped following us. But we had gone to numerous different businesses to try to keep them from following us, and they continued to follow us until the point where I took pictures at McDonald's. So and at other incidents at the same location when making the exchange, Trey would do this thing where he would park in one parking spot, and when I would go in, and then when I would come out after dropping Madison off for the supervised visitation with her mother, he would pull up into this other parking spot that was in front of him, and there was nothing separating me and his vehicle. So it was like a game of chicken. Like, he would pull up and stop in the parking spot, but I was walking out. So to me, I didn't know if he was going to continue to keep driving and just run me over, or it got to the point to where I couldn't even, when I would drop Madison off for supervised visitation, I would not even look at his vehicle because I was that intimidated.
When was the incident where you showed up to make the exchange in the court lobby but Dad wasn't expecting him?
December 28th, the evening of December 28th. If you'd like the time, I can give you that. If
no,
not,
it's fine. It's fine. And when was the time that Trey would park in one parking spot and then drive up?
So it was a number of times he would do that. It was like his routine. Sometimes he would wait till I walked out and he would drive up to the next spot, or sometimes he would drive out before I walked up. But one particular incident when he did do that, I don't know the date, but he even followed me. I went to go get a haircut during the visit, and he followed me there in his vehicle. He left the parking lot. As I left the parking lot, I went over to the barber, which is across the street, and he followed me into that parking lot and kind of played like a little game, another game of chicken, I would call it. And then as I went into the barber shop, he left, I guess. I didn't see him after that.
Okay, when we first had our first day of trial in this case, when you were in person, were you in fear of your safety that day?
Yes, I think I even requested an escort out because of my fear of Mr. Henson.
And who do you
And I
recall
believe
gave
that-
you escort?
Yes.
Paul gave you an escort out.
The deputy marshal for Your Honor's courtroom escorted me out of the facility, and they were gone.
Okay,
got
and he
him
walked
on
you
fine.
all the way to your car, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and then after we went to that day of trial, were you shot then after if you recall the day of trial where we had the drug testing facility woman testify, Cammie, and then the ATI lady testified?
That
Yes.
was March
Okay.
7th.
March 7th, that's before you got shot, right?
That's correct.
Okay, when did you get shot? Oh, it says March 8th online, I don't know.
March
Either.
8th was the second day of trial.
Oh, you're right. So March 7th and 8th, you were in person, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, yeah, because we had CPS, and then we had that one day, and then we had the drug testing witnesses the second day. What date were you shot?
March 15th,
Okay,
about 6 a.m.
So about a week after the second day of trial.
That's correct.
Exactly a week after. What happened?
It was a normal day. We were getting up to head to work, and we did our
What day of the
normal.
week?
It was a Tuesday, so it was a normal morning like any other, where we do breakfast and get ready and all that stuff that I just described. And we left our apartment, which is not far from where my vehicle is parked, and walked to the vehicle. I walked to. We were driving Cody's car that day. I walked to the passenger side, and I opened the rear door for Madison to get in, and I leaned in and I hooked her into her car seat. I buckled her seatbelt. Then I opened Cody's door for her to get in, and I walked around to the driver's side. Cody hit the unlock button on her door to open the rest of the doors. I walked around the rear of the vehicle to the driver's side door to enter as I normally would. As I reached out to grab the door handle, I heard something shuffle. There's some bushes and hedges in that area that are up against my old apartment complex building wall. I heard a shuffle in that general area. I looked up and I saw a person dressed in all black with a big black face mask on and a black hoodie pulled over. And I looked up, I saw that image. Nothing was said, not a single word, and then a shot was fired towards what seemed to be my head area based on where the gun was before I saw the shot. That shot missed, and so I turned to run away from the shooter. As I ran from the shooter, I ran past the rear of the car, out into the complex parking lot area, and a second shot was fired. I could no longer see the individual. He was blocked by the backside of the car, and I had my head running forward. He fired a second shot, which Cody saw, and then I was hit in the back about 1.5 inches away from my spine. And I went down immediately. The individual fled the scene. He jumped on a motorcycle and fled the area. I was taken to the hospital where I was in intensive care for 5 days in the ICU in critical condition. I lost 3 units of blood. I had internal damage to my intestines and my stomach, and I spent a total of 10 days in the hospital.
Did you lose any organs?
My liver was damaged, and my kidney on the left side was damaged, but nothing was removed. Only thing that was removed was a piece of my small intestine.
How much small intestine, if you know?
I don't know the exact amount.
How long recovery going to be?
I'm still recovering to this day. I'm not able to do the hospital staff said 8 to 10 weeks, and I would be back feeling normal. It's been about that period of time, and I definitely don't physically feel normal. And I have had an extreme change to my bladder where I have to, just sitting and talking for this period of time, I've had to pee since we started this thing. I have to use the restroom all the time because something was done to my bladder, whether it was in the actual gunshot or the surgery, to where now I wake up every hour at night to use the restroom, and so it's something that I feel is probably never going to go away.
How close to your head did the shooter miss?
I don't know how far the bullet missed. I know that it seemed like it was aimed directly at my head, and he was only, 10 feet away. I don't know. I couldn't presume where the bullet went.
And was the shooter's build similar to Trey or anyone you know that is?
The build was identical to Trey's build. It was a heavy-set, tall individual. It looked to be Trey in a puffy jacket to me.
Is there anyone else in Las Vegas that you know of that has reason to want you to be harmed?
Absolutely not. I've had no conflict with any neighbor. It definitely wasn't a robbery because nothing was even said. It was, in my opinion,